Episode number 23.
Yes.
So today's podcast is definitely a little different. We have a returning guest in Hector.
Yeah.
Patty's back on as the co-host again.
Back again.
So this one is going to be about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. Did I say that right?
Yes.
I
we
think so.
wanted-
Yeah.
Whoa, man, that's impressive. I actually
really
got
good,
something
AJ.
right this time.
You got it, man. You got
the
it.
first shot.
We wanted to do something different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something definitely different. I thought it was a really interesting book.
Yeah.
So-
I love it. It's a good book. I've reread it multiple times throughout my life.
Awesome.
And I get something new every time.
Yeah, and this is the first time that I've read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually I listen to my books. Yeah, obviously I run and
Yeah, that's-
try to multitask. That's the only way I can run and actually listen. And he was actually, you were telling me you have notes. Yeah, I literally stop and I start
No
walking
way.
and I
have
start
some.
typing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And I have a bunch on my
have a
phone.
few.
So I'm not gonna lie. So how I got my notes, just so I can remember what I read, I actually got it off ChatGPT.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
that works.
No, it does work because it's like, oh yeah, I do remember reading about like
Yeah.
being proactive and synergizing and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Because like I was when we originally had this scheduled, I was like, okay, cool. I'll read the last part the day of the podcast,
Yeah.
so it's like fresh. So like I haven't read. I just got done reading the 7th, or I should say, listening to the 7th one this morning, right before we got here, and that was my plan originally.
That's awesome.
So, but I forgot like 1 through 6. So
But yeah, I'm a big component. I don't know. It's I stress a lot that either feeding your mind positivity, you'll always be learning, right? And so in the mornings, that's what I like to do is either read a book, audiobook that is, or some type of podcast, and essentially educate yourself in different aspects of just life. Whether it's, like I said, it could be parenting.
Yeah.
It could be for business. It could be mind. So anything that has to do with just self-growth, and also professional growth. So this was one of the books that we kind of talked about.
We voted on.
voted on.
This was like, that's the one.
Yeah,
you guys got to vote. I didn't
so
get
why? So
No,
why
I'm
do
just
you
kidding.
think we chose this one? I mean, I know you brought it up, and I'm like, all right, let's go with it.
Yeah.
Is there something that sparked your interest? Obviously, you've read it in the past.
I've read in the past. I mean, the title says it all, right? Like the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Yeah.
Highly successful people.
yeah,
I've read it in the past. It was brought to me as it was part of my training to get a promotion.
Okay.
oh okay,
And part of passing that training is how are you applying these habits in your daily life and in your day-to-day operations at the store back in the day. And it made a huge difference. The biggest part of it is like the creative win-win, right? Like, because usually as a manager,
Yes.
we're
Creative
a brand
win-win.
new manager. Managers want their way, or we tend to want our way, and
Correct.
rather than listen to the associates. And so that was for me a huge like shift in my paradigm. Like, I could do a lot more at my store back then if we are on the same page, and if it's a win for me and it's a win for them. It's a compromise.
Yeah.
And when I brought the book again, I said, we all lead YPN, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You're a leader,
Yeah.
leader. Why not reread this
yeah.
book?
That's a solid point. So just to kind of like, we're gonna skip ahead to the win-win situation. Like I always thought like, oh yeah, it's a win-win situation. It's like, or there's like win-lose, a win-win, a lose-lose, and like a loss-win, and like all of that. And I was like, man, what does he mean by that? And like when he gets into the description of like raising your kids, and like sometimes like, I will be honest, sometimes the kids, they do not listen, and it's like, yo, like.
Yeah.
So it's like, listen, it's like, okay, maybe like, what can I do to readjust how I reflect what I want to get across with them also compromising at the same time. And mind you, my kids are only 4 and 2, but Maverick, he's a little bit of a tester, and he likes to test the buttons.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's like, don't let dad raise his voice. Dad's trying really hard not to raise his voice at you, because I don't want that to be your only memory is me yelling at you the entire time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I do raise my voice when it's necessary now. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, it really did shift the paradigm of like how you need to proceed with things. And yeah, it's a 4-year-old. Like, you don't want to puff your chest and like, I got the big win out of this. And it's like, well, you just shattered this kid's emotions, and now he's like crying over in the corner over something that could have been like very petty. But
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are still times where I do raise my voice, and I will grill into my child, because it's like it got to that point. But it's try to prevent that part.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, like you said, the mindset, paradigm, how you think. A lot of times people have the paradigm or the mindset that they're the victim a lot of the times.
Yes,
And
there's a lot of that going on right now.
Whenever you focus on that, you will be the victim.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you focus on winning, when you focus on being positive, productive, or whatever you want to focus on, that's what's actually going to happen. And so I feel like this book really highlights a lot of the good things. When, like you said, win-win is, hey, let's actually have that mindset that we both can actually win. And like, you know, in our industry, you have sellers and buyers, right? A lot of times the buyer wants the good deal, right?
Yeah.
And then the seller wants the most for their house.
Yes.
But there is that happy medium where actually the seller can get what they want and the buyer can actually perceive that they're getting a good deal and get a good deal.
Absolutely. So you bring up buyer and sellers, like going back and forth and negotiating. This is kind of where like the lender, it's like, hey, telling their real estate, the buyer's agent's like, hey, look, is there a possibility that we can raise the price by $10,000 and we're going to ask for seller credit? So it's like, hey, look, Mr. Seller, you're still going to get, you know, this price at $450. We're going to put an offer in at $460 and ask for $10,000 in seller credit. So you're still going to net at that $450 price compared to like that. And it's like, so it's kind of like, hey, look, this is what we want, but we're going to go above this, and this is what we want in return. And I'd say right now, 90% of the time, most sellers are going to say, yeah, we'll do that, because the other offer was at $450, plus they were still asking for $10,000.
Yeah.
It creates a win-win for both sides.
Yes, it does. So
yeah. Now, in regards to jumping back into the habits, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, let's go. I know we're jumping ahead.
I know
of
we're
everything,
jumping
but
a lot.
It's like, it was just fresh in the mind, so I kind of wanted to get that out there.
Those are good stuff. I think one of the first quotes that they throw on there, they throw a lot of quotes, and I want to read this one out because I shared it with our YPN chat one time, and it's like sometimes when I read something good, and I know you've been doing that lately, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. You have to share what you learn, right? And so this one was by Aristotle. Did I say that right? Aristotle.
Yeah.
Okay, let me read that. The quote, it says, "We are what we repeatedly do.
Yes.
Excellence then is not an act, but a habit."
Yes.
So habit is everything. It's essentially, for example, I like to give my example of running, right?
Yes.
Being disciplined and making sure that becomes a habit for me to actually do good on a race. It's a habit. It's not just I wake up one day and I start running 8-minute miles. I always joke around with Casey because he's like, "Oh man, you run like a lot." I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't start off that way. It's because I created a habit. I did small little runs at first. I built up as time progresses, and that's with anything. You create a habit little habits that essentially will create great results later on."
Yeah, so you bring that up. So, I mean, we both played baseball like as kids all the way up until like even recently. I mean, we play slow pitch softball now. But just seeing, so you bring that up, and it's just like throughout my entire life, all I really knew was baseball, football, and just like sports, like growing up. So once I got into middle school in the 7th grade, like a lot of those kids did not know how to throw a baseball.
Yeah.
And they're like, and they would come up to me, they're like, "How are you so good at throwing a baseball?" And I'm like, "I've been throwing a baseball since I was like 2. Like, you got to think like, so how old are we? 13. So like for 11 years of my life at that time, I was like, I've always been throwing a baseball.
Takes time.
Yeah. And it's just like, it was a really culture shock for me. Cause I went to school like at Sanaya. So that's like a lot of underprivileged kids and stuff like that. So it kind of like, now that I'm older, like I understand like, oh wow. Like I took it for granted that like my dad always played catch with me and stuff like that and worked on my craft. And like, I didn't know. I was just like, hey, I'm just playing baseball. So like that's my thing. Like I've always been good at sports. It's because it was embedded in my head at such a young age.
Yeah, repetition.
Yeah, repetition. Learning how the ball is going to bounce off of dirt, like being able to react. So like when things drop and like people make a compliment, like, "Oh yeah, like man, you reacted before that could fall," and I was like, "That's baseball. That's a craft that I've developed for 30 plus years." So.
Yeah, and with habits. It could be a good thing,
and it can also be a bad thing,
or it could be a bad habit.
Yeah.
So choose wisely. Right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want a bad habit to tarnish whether it's your career, or your life.
Right. Yeah.
Alcoholism or being in drugs or whatever. That those are bad habits, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so workaholic can be
what?
Be a good or a bad thing.
You know what my uncle always said, like. What did he say? Everything is good in moderation. And he even said like even religion.
Even
religion. And I'm not 100 like not dogging religion at all. I'm very religious myself. Yeah. So, but and he even said, because he's very Catholic too. So, and he's like, if you dive too deep into the Bible and trying to study every little nook and cranny, it can become a bad habit.
Yeah.
So.
So here's another quote, and I'm gonna just be reading off
Yeah, no,
my
you're good.
notes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you guys
I'm
got to
jump
do.
on mine, yeah.
You guys got to do the next, the same. So habits creates our effectiveness or ineffectiveness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how does that resonate with you guys?
So if you have a good habit, like you like to run a lot, so which is I think that is a good habit because you're taking care of your health.
Yeah.
And what a bad habit on the opposite side of that is just being a couch potato and
There
just
you
like
go.
doing like playing video games
Yeah.
all day. but I mean I wouldn't say that it's a bad habit for me because it's
Yeah.
like
It's a
boys are
pastime, yeah.
boys are asleep, mom's
Yeah.
asleep, like
You took care of business.
I took care of business for the day. Now it's my time. Like
Yeah,
that's my
yeah.
time. So, but I'm saying like, if you're not like Ninja or like Tip
Yeah.
the Tap Man, like you can game for 8 hours and get paid for it. That's completely different. But it's
Yeah.
like, if you're gaming and you're not getting other stuff done, like that can become a problem.
So that goes back to being proactive, right? Like,
Yeah,
you
being-
can plan ahead,
Yes.
Yeah.
or you can react as life comes your way.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you know, it's as simple as like, do you put gas in your car last night, knowing that you have a meeting the morning?
That is one of the most adult
Or-
L's that you can do is like,
No, seriously.
I know. It's like one of the biggest L's as an adult. It's like, I'll just get gas in the
No.
morning. Just get gas the night
That's so
before.
reactive, right? Like you go and I usually go and fill out the night before, or like even just I plan my outfit the night before, just so I don't waste time and things.
You know
like
what's
that.
crazy?
I don't plan my outfit.
I plan Gio's outfit, but I don't know if you guys know me, but I'm very simple. I wear a lot of black, a lot of white, a lot of grays.
Same.
You know, like Steve
Polo
Jobs.
jeans.
You know, you guys hear the story
Yeah.
about
Jeans and black.
jeans and black. Okay, like that. That's one less thing he has to think about.
Yeah.
He's
I'm the
already.
same
He
way.
knows that he's gonna wear the
Yeah.
next day. But I'm not trying to be Steve Jobs.
No, I know, but
But,
like,
I
but
mean,
the thing is, like,
basic.
you take, and here's the thing, like, you look for things that are going to be resourceful,
Yeah.
cost effective, and doesn't take too much time to think.
Yeah.
So
Time
that
effective.
time effectiveness is the biggest one. Cause so like I have like 200 shirts, but I only wear 10.
Yeah. that's how we all are. I think we have a
I
lot.
think so.
And how many
yeah.
shirts am I going to get rid of? 0.
Yeah. Right. Like I've actually liked that one, but I'm not gonna wear it.
Yeah,
anytime soon.
so no, well, I mean, I bring that up because I did some purging yesterday, and I was like, well, wait a minute, I just purged not that long ago. It's like all these shirts that I would like to wear, but I just can't because I'm always at work. So
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna throw away a shirt that I can't wear because I'm at work.
Correct.
But I did get rid of some shirts that didn't fit anymore, so that was like kind of a good thing. It's like, all right, these don't fit, so
Yeah.
let's get rid
So
of
yeah,
these.
they talk about proactiveness, right?
Yeah.
Versus procrastinate.
Procrastination.
Yeah.
So, what is something that you guys currently procrastinate?
Reading the book.
Reading the book? All right,
Dude,
anything else?
I would say like the grocery shopping.
Yeah.
I've been put this week alone. I was supposed to go Sunday, and I've been just so caught up on everything else that I haven't gone grocery shopping. So we've
Yeah.
been eating.
I'll give you
outside.
what we do. Target pickup.
Yeah.
You-
Target pickup.
Dude, I'm telling you,
I
that-
should be better. I know Rashi's. If she probably won't see this, but she's the one that does
I'm-
all that.
I'm gonna
she's like, "What
message
did
her."
you do?" I'm like, yeah, you're gonna
Message,
it.
hey,
clip this,
clip this part.
Here's a link.
Yeah, here's a
Yeah,
link.
But yeah, sometimes cleaning the back. I feel like I clean up the yard when people are coming over, right?
Yeah.
So instead of being like consistent with things,
It's when people are.
it's the
gonna-
cleanest when like I know people are coming over. Then we're gonna actually have people over this weekend, so
So
Oh,
it's
okay.
gonna be
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah, we're-
I'm so bad too when it comes to that. Like, oh, but you know what I did last week? Because I invited people over to come watch the UFC fight
Yeah,
last
yeah,
Saturday, and
You did.
yeah, no, I did, and I was just like, you know what? I was gonna do it all Saturday, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it Friday. So I like cleaned up the garage on Friday, and then like in the morning before I even went into the office, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna clean. I was like, I need to take a shower anyway. Let's utilize this and just go. I'm gonna clean up my garage on Friday. And then like later that night, like when I came back home, I was like, I'm mowing the lawn because I don't want to do it tomorrow either. So like I knocked
Yeah.
out 2 things that I didn't have to do on Saturday.
So
it's like-
I guess the question is, why do we procrastinate?
So for me, and I think it's more of like a neurological thing. Like I like the pressure of like, and I'm serious. Like I like,
That's a bad habit.
well,
They say that procrastinators are more efficient. You know why? Because they do
So-
things last minute,
And they
and they do it
right.
quick.
Yeah.
yeah.
But Is that the best way to do it?
Probably no. It's probably not the best way to go about things. Like, I'll admit that. Like, it's probably not the best or healthiest thing for me. But like, it does make me strive and look at it from an analytical position.
Thrive in chaos.
Like
there's some people that do.
I say you thrive in chaos.
I do strive. Yeah, I thrive in chaos. Yeah, it's very true. So like, when it comes down to crunch time, like for whatever reason, like and it's funny. So like, when me and my brother moved out of this house on Alexander, we literally waited to the last day, and I'm like, no, and even like, because I don't know what it is, but like that day I was like, hey, we're getting everything all one day and get it done. So it's like, that was a mistake. We got it done. We had to ask for like an extra hour. It's like, we are like 1 hour away from getting done. Yeah. Had we start literally the day before, we would have been done.
Yeah. No, so let me read you my notes that I wrote down where they talked about proactiveness versus procrastination, right?
Yeah.
So they say that proactive, people focus in a small circle of concerns, which causes influence, which means they take small bites of something. So, for example, if I have to, I have to clean the whole yard, it's like, hey, let me do something right now. Yeah. And then it multiplies. It adds up to a lot of small things, and eventually you'll get something done. Yeah. Right? Versus a procrastinator, they focus too much on the big picture.
Yes.
Instead of, for example, focusing on the entire yard. Hey, let me pick up, the things from this area right now.
Yeah.
Or these toys that are here. Like smaller things versus the bigger circle, or bigger idea, if that makes sense.
Break it into
pieces. You have to break it down into smaller pieces. Like that, it seems more manageable versus if you think of, for example, if I think of, I have to organize this golf tournament, right? That especially right now. That
I know
it's a lot. It's a lot, but if I break it down by section and I really compartmentalize it, it's a lot easier when you do that. Especially when you have a good team and you're like delegating stuff. And they're following through with their stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that becomes a way where you're more proactive than
it's manageable.
And
you prioritize too, right? Like what's more important? What needs to get done first?
Yeah,
what's
absolutely.
urgent to get done? What can wait? And what can be done later on?
Yeah, absolutely. So like, you delegated the getting the hole-in-one thing to me, and I'm like, okay, I know the perfect person that we can contact. We got that done. We had a little bit of a mishap on what hole it needed to be, but I mean, but dude, we got it done like within what, 12 hours?
Yeah,
it was super simple.
She responded back. You're on. It's awesome.
Yeah,
give her a shout out.
Yeah, hey, shout out to my aunt Yolanda Ochoa over at One Digital. Thanks for getting that done, and I'm gonna send you the link to this podcast so you can hear that shout out.
There's one part where he talks about, and I think Hector really models this, right? And in many ways, be a model, not a critic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you are that. Like, you don't ask from us anything that you can't deliver. That's correct. One. And you are a role model before you even ask anything from us or even your kids.
Yeah, no, I mean, I try to teach by actually doing it myself. It's like, hey, this is how it's done. Now let me teach you how to do it. All right, now you do it, right? It's like teach by leading, not by like telling you what to do, right? Yeah. So if I'm like, I know I can do it, but if there's a task that I know that somebody can handle, I'm going to ask you. Yeah. So for example, for that, you could definitely do it. Last night I asked you for some signs and you're like, I'll get it handled, right? So even though people don't see the behind the scenes things, that's what I'm doing. I don't just post it on the chat and say, hey, get it all done.
You do a lot of texting.
I do a lot individual.
So last year when I was running the social media pages for YPN, you're like, hey, we haven't posted in a while. Can you get something done? I was like, oh, dude, I'm on it. Like, and I would get it done. And it's just like, it's also those little reminders that we also need to. It's like, hey, I know we haven't done it. We're not. And it's never a critique. It's like, we do need to get something done.
Yeah, it's more of a reminder. And like I said, I wouldn't tell somebody to do of something that I wouldn't do or I can't do. Mm-hmm. If I don't, I'll tell you straight up, like, hey, this is not something I normally do. Maybe you should try it. Maybe it'll work for you.
Yeah.
You got to find your strength on, like, for example, in real estate, we have a team and there are some strengths that I have and some that are not so strong. So I'm going to just teach on the ones that I know that I'm strong at. And so, again, I'm not perfect. I'm not the greatest.
Nobody's going to be perfect.
But again, I do try my hardest, and I learn every time I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And seek first to understand and to be understood. That's also a huge one.
Yeah, the to be understand versus being understood. What one was that one?
Let's habit 5, like listened
Oh yeah,
before.
listen actively and empathetically before trying to make your own point. This habit emphasizes effective communication and relationship building by ensuring you truly grasp other perspective.
That is so important for clients and for kids.
Yeah, and it's like well, my boys are a little young, so it's kind of hard to understand where they're coming from right now, just because they cannot communicate how adults can communicate to each other.
Yeah.
Like, hey, and we kind of had a conversation like when we had lunch earlier, like, hey, this is what I'm feeling, and you're like, oh yeah, it's the same for me, and I'm like, oh okay, and it's like, it's one of those things like you don't realize it until you either ask the question to kind of see where their head is at, and it kind of like, and I kind of told you I was like in a somewhat of a downward spiral the past couple of days. Like I've now came out of that, but like no, it was kind of bad. So, but sometimes for me it takes a couple days. Like if I'm in like a moody situation, it's like I don't want to be talked to. Like my wife hates it. She's like, I don't like when you're like this.
Yeah.
So it's like,
why do you make it in that voice?
no, not like I'm not. It was just more of a personal voice. Me, like I don't like when you're like this. So it's not I'm not mimicking how my wife sounds. Like that's just me when I hear like criticism. Like that's the way not. Like, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's one of those things. Is like, and then once I like started talking to Ashley, you, Hector, it's like okay, like I'm starting to see, like I'm being understood. You're being understood by me. Like it takes that.
It takes practice though.
Yeah.
Most people just jump into like you did this and I feel this way and that's the end of the story. And
yeah, and I always say there's 3 sides of the story. There's my story, his story, and then
the truth. And
the story from up above.
Yeah.
Like who knows?
I feel like something they talk about this habit, and we're gonna jump back to the other habits.
Yeah.
Because
back and forth.
But I mean, the book did jump back and forth from habits too.
But I'm just going back to where you guys. I think one of the biggest things, and I think everyone has heard this before, is really active listening, and so listening empathetically, which means that you feel what you are receiving. So if you're actually talking to me, you have to respond back. Hey, I heard you. This is what you actually told me. Does that make sense, or am I right?
Am I missing something?
Correct. So actually repeating what somebody's telling you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, maybe Patty's telling me something, but I'm processing it way different. But it's always important to repeat it back just to make sure that we're agreeing.
And that's true. So it's like when back to communicating with Erica, it's like, okay, I know you said this, but what do you mean by this? Like, can you kind of elaborate? Because I want to try to understand what you're trying to say. And it's just like, oh well, this is what I mean. It's like I hear you, but I'm not understanding. And it's just like it's like I need to help like understand, and then I go, oh okay, well what about, is it like this? And then when we get like, okay, now let's proceed with a conversation. Now that we're on like the same path,
same page.
Yeah, on the same page. Yeah.
Chris is really good at, is this what you said or is this what I heard?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I practice. Let me see here. Take responsibility for your life. Take initiative.
Take responsibility for your life.
Yeah, be the driver, not the passenger.
That's another good book by Mel Robbins, Take Control of Your Life.
Oh.
It's and it talks exactly about that. Take the wheel, don't be the passenger. And that might be the next book that we listen to.
Well, it says be the driver. Let's talk about that. Like a lot of times we let things happen versus us making things happen.
Taking control. Take control of the situation.
Yeah.
Take control of the conversation. Take control of the transaction.
Correct. I mean, it could relate to personal. It could relate to business. And also, there's some things you can't control. So
right. There's always going to be things that you can't control, but it's like how you react to it.
Correct. So I was listening to a podcast. It's called The Ninja Selling. It's something related to real estate. But they had us do this little, well, I didn't do it because I was running, but a little exercise. It said on the right-hand side, think of what you're grateful for. And on the left-hand side, think of something that's bugging you right now, that it can't make you sleep at night.
You can't think of anything negative while you're being grateful.
Correct. But at the same time is like these negative things, the next question they ask is, can you do something about it? So for example, if we talk about real estate, something that's bugging us probably that's affecting some of our business is interest rates.
Insurance, right?
But is that something I can control?
No. You can't control that.
So should I be really worried about that?
No, you shouldn't. Well, I mean, kind of. You shouldn't, but we do.
Yeah, but we as humans, we have a natural reaction for us to worry about that.
The things that we can't control.
Exactly. We can't control it. So why even bug? And I feel like that's a really good lesson for in general. It's like, if you can't control it, let it go. Like, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If it's something you really can control, but you unfortunately can't figure it out, then obviously, there's some things you got to work through there. But if there's definitely you can't do anything about, it's just making.
I have a really hard time with that.
Oh yeah,
I have a really hard time with that just because I like to fix things. Like if I can fix it myself, when I can't do it, I really struggle with giving up that power of I can. Yeah, no, I'm pretty bad when it comes to that because it's like and I'm getting back to like Erica being in postpartum depression and stuff like that, and it bugged me that no matter what
you couldn't fix it. You wanted to fix it, and you couldn't fix it. Take it away from her.
and I wanted to take like whatever pain she was feeling, and I wanted to put it on myself because I've always been like, I will take your burden and I will handle it. Like when I can't handle it, that's when I like really struggle.
Yeah.
So it's like I know that, and it's just how I am.
Yeah, I taught my kids very little. They actually reminded me that not long ago. When people talk about you, because one of them used to be bullied a lot in school, and I used to tell them, you really can't control what these kids are going to say or do. You can't control how you react. So are you going to fight back? Are you going to go to the teacher? Are you going to go to the principal? And it became a habit of like, don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to what other people do if it doesn't necessarily or directly affect you. And not that long ago, I was struggling with that, and my son laughed and says, "Mom, stop listening to the haters." Like, this is one of the things that you used to tell us when we were little, like, please stop. And it put me back in my place where like, oh crap, like, yeah, like I'm now practicing what I taught you.
Yeah.
And like, I thank you for reminding me. Like, that's actually a good lesson, a good reminder.
Yeah. Sometimes the kids start teaching you some stuff. That's true. That's true. But yeah, I mean, again, if there's always think about like, can I control this?
Yeah.
And the answer is no. Just don't worry about it.
Just let it go.
It's as simple as that, but we make it very difficult.
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of hard when clients come up to me. It's like, well, why are the rates so high? I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I can't control the rates. Like, do you think I want to have like give you a 7% interest rate? Like, no. Like, if it was 3%, you know how much business like we would all have? Like,
no,
a lot more.
It's definitely a conversation that you have with clients, and like, let's control the controllables, and then from there everything will work itself out.
Yeah.
From there. A good thing too on the second on habit to begin with the end of mind.
Yeah, I loved this one.
Like, what do you want to get? Robert always tells me, like, walk in a room knowing what do you want to get out of there.
Be intentional.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. That's what I tell everyone. It's like, what do you want? Be intentional.
Be intentional.
Obviously, good intentions, that is. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a plan, you're just kind of doing things just to do it. It's like going in a hamster wheel.
That's like wasting time.
It's wasting time. It's like, yeah. Once you get more productive with things, and you're going to be like, all right, I don't need to be there. I don't need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I can do this from wherever, from home or whatever. But obviously, you want to show face. You want to build relationships, which is why a lot of us are here, is build relationships. And at the end of the day, we're hoping to do business in the future together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And things will go smoother, right? And so be intentional. Go do things because, you want to help out, but also, hey, at the same time, it doesn't hurt that it might help your business, right?
Yeah.
But I think be intentional, be proactive. Those are all good lessons, right?
Good. Yeah,
absolutely.
What else is in that chapter or in that habit?
Are we talking about picturing the end?
Yeah.
So having a blueprint.
So it's funny when I got to that chapter of the book, and I was like, man, I really do think about the end a lot. Like even and I'll bring up gaming. It's like, what is the end goal of this match? It's like, it's to get to the final ring, and you are the one that is on top. all right, well, what steps you need to get? Well, I need to get this firearm and this fire, like get my loadout that I want. Now it's like to that, and then it's like you build up to getting to that. Like, and this goes for any single video game that you think of, like whether it's Zelda, Mario, like you need to gain the skills to get to the final boss. Like always looking at the final picture and the final boss, and it's like every single video game is to a T the same, minus like racing and fighting games. Like, but like most of your games are like that. So
yeah, so this is pretty cool. Unless you had something.
No, go ahead.
No, yeah. Obviously, understanding. I like to think of, have you guys heard of the financial independence number?
No.
Have you guys thought of that? It's like, what's your financial independence number? As far as if you had to put a number on it, how much money do you have to make or have to have for you to stop working?
Yeah, I've thought of that.
Like on a monthly basis, what type of passive income can you have coming in for you to essentially retire? Have you guys thought of that?
So I've always thought of it like not like a number, but like I need to make a certain dollar amount.
You know your number.
I know that there is a certain dollar amount. Do I know what that number is right now? No, I don't know what that is. But what I've always said is I want to retire by the age of 55.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to work until
why
like I'm
not
75.
40?
I mean, 40 is in 3 years.
Yeah, I know. But
There, I have a year number. I don't have like a physical, like financial number. Like, but my steps that I know that I want to do is I want to get my house paid off, or whatever house that we're living in. I want that paid off. I don't want to have any car debt. I want absolutely zero debts before I can retire. My goal is to have that accomplished by 55. Obviously, the younger the better. That'd be great. Am I going to be retired? No, I'm not going to be retired. Like, there's still things that I don't think I can. There's going to be a point where I want to stop working, but I want it to be financial retirement.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't have to worry about that. Like, I have my retirement all set up. I don't know what that number is going to be like.
This is more of a offline type of thing, but my point being is there's a way to calculate that for you on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
And also, let's just say you have an X amount in your bank account or investments or real estate or whatever it is. Then you say, okay, there's a rule of 4%. Essentially, you get paid out 4% for the rest of your life with that amount. And that's that should be your end goal for me, because there's some people that could continue to work, and that number continues to increase and increase and increase and increase. And for what? I mean, they can pass it on to the next generation, but they don't get to live life. I feel like they're always working.
Yeah.
I like, for example, Rashi and I, we have a number. Like, there's a number out there, and now as soon as we reach that, we know we're gonna be traveling and doing whatever we want. But if we don't have that in place, you don't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
You're not.
So you're striving to hit that number. For us, we know when enough is enough.
Yeah.
For other people, you got to just keep working, forever. But I mean, whatever your end goal is in mind, whether it's that or anything else, with career wise, I think it's knowing what that looks like, and then enjoy it, because I feel like people go away to 60, 65, then retire. They're like, I'm gonna go travel, but you could barely walk at 65 for some people.
For some people, it's hard for them to walk around. Like,
but I always say mix in life in between. Obviously you have to do all the fun stuff.
So you bring that up. My dad's 65, so he's gonna be 65. No, is it? But he's like, he's getting a little bit older. He's starting to slow down. But when you look at it like apples to apples with other people around his age, he's in really great shape for his He's still able to walk. He's still able to do this. I mean, like, he's a little bit slower at doing things, but considering he didn't want to retire. He was kind of forced to retire. No medical injuries or anything like that.
But he has hobbies and stuff like that.
Yeah, so he's working on the car and stuff like that. He likes to come over to my house and help me. Like, we finished the shower. I haven't posted that, but we finished it like a couple weeks ago.
I feel like I got to go shower there.
He was working on it forever,
No, like I just, it's been done for like 2 weeks, I think. So, but I just haven't posted it. I actually just thought of that this morning. I didn't post that.
In that same chapter, he talks about you have to have the right mental map and the right attitude, because you could have the right attitude and the wrong map and go into the wrong place with the right attitude, or vice versa.
Yeah. What chapter was that?
Was that? Are we
it
still?
Was like chapter. It was the same habit.
Oh, habit number 2.
Yeah, habit 2, chapter like 5.
Something
But
like
that's
that.
true. I mean, you gotta know where you're going, because sometimes you have your mindset going to one place, but then you realize, hey, that's not where I really want to go, and so you have to switch the map or switch the
So
road.
like even with like I'll talk about my college career, like which was like 9 years long. So what I originally wanted was I wanted to be an accountant. The first semester, I'm like, dude, this sucks. Like, I can't do, like, I was falling asleep during class. It just wasn't interesting to me.
Yeah.
I got a good grade on it, but I was just like, this is not what I want. I was like, you know what? I want to stick with numbers. Like, I was always good with numbers. Went to math, and I was like, you need to do this, and this just to get out of Merced College. I'm like, well, the years and the time that it's going to take for me to get to that doesn't make sense to me.
Happen.
So then I switched it again to communications, where I'm like, okay, like, they're like, what if I switch it to communications? Because my other passion was like radio and stuff like that. And they're like, well, if you do that, you need to take 2 more semesters and you go to Stan State. Let's do that. So did that, flipped it to that, and then like I ended up back into numbers. So it's I've gone through like different stages of like, what do I want to do? Well, that's not going to work out. Let's reroute and go to a different way. So it's kind of a perfect example for that part right there.
That part.
Yeah.
He talks also about independence is about what I can do, I can achieve. It's all the I can. And interdependence, you achieve more through collaborating ideas and efforts in a group.
Yeah.
I mean, collaboration is everything. I mean, YPN is a prime example of that.
Yes.
I think.
Interdependence, yeah.
I think collaboration, you go a longer way. Well, there's a quote that says, if you want to go far, go alone. But if you want to go further, what is it? Something like that. If you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go for longer, I botched that. But essentially, you want to collaborate to do better things. To do more. No?
Yeah. No. I get. No, that makes sense because like with. I'm trying not to bring up gaming, but it always comes back to gaming.
That's
but it's like,
that's your
but I know it's
currency.
My life currency. But like, I want to edit all these videos and do all that, but like, dude, the time consumption on that is ridiculous. So I got a program that costs like, I think it's like $10 a month, and it gets through all the clips that I think are good or that they think is good. So you can just post it, and there's also a feature on it where you just say, clip it, and it'll clip what just happened and a little bit past that. So it eliminated that job for me to do more of what I want to do. So like,
shout out to whoever invited the app.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw it on Instagram. It was called eclipse.gg. Yeah. So yeah, no, it was one of those things. It's like, and then also Opus Clip, like editing clips for the podcast. Dude, that would take forever because you have to go through the podcast, you have to do all this and find it, reposition and everything. Well, there's an app that's Opus Clip, which is very similar to Eclipse, that it goes to the best talking points, and it actually like, hey, this is what we think is going to be good, post it, and it actually does do good. It's kind of crazy how like there's all these programs and AI, it's like hot topic like right now, and it makes life a lot easier having it does. For sure. So, and it makes you go further.
Habit 3, I'm just skipping into habit 3.
Yeah, let's just get into
put
it.
first things first, and it talks about principles of personal management. I think this is really important, especially with being an entrepreneur or running your own business in real estate, whether you're a lender, a realtor, or in any type of business that you're essentially setting your own schedule. Making sure you plan ahead and you're staying organized and understanding what your roles are.
It's so important.
It really is.
You can wear a lot of hats. So, for example, for me, I mean, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a coach.
Yeah.
I was a YPN chair. Now I'm a finance director for the association. I'm part of the board at SJSU for the Alumni Association there. I wear a lot of hats. So during the week, and for me personally, it works for me. On Sundays, sometime in the evening, I'm already starting
to think.
Sometimes Rasha's like, are you even listening to me? I'm like, because I'm in my head. I used to sit down and write it. Right now, it's like I'm on my head a lot and I'll write notes. But my calendar is my boss. You know? Sometimes I gotta be like, I'm a coach. All right, what games are coming up?
Yeah.
What days? When can I not have evening events for real estate or go showings or stuff? Like I have to switch gears really frequently during the week, right? But staying organized is very, very important.
So in the book, I remember like, and I'm not sure if it's the same habit or not, but it just like kind of clicked right now when he was talking about like, hey, we're scheduled to go to like New York They're like, all right, cool. When is it? In 3 years.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I laughed when I heard that. And I was like, well, you're planning 3 years ahead. And I'm like, okay, and it's just like, okay, it's like thinking at the end. It's like, hey, this is what we want to do, but what steps do we need to get to that? So I'm not sure if that's the same chapter, but
it is.
It is that chapter,
or
right?
Within the same concept.
Yeah, within that, I mean, here it talks about identifying your role for the week.
Yeah.
So for example, now that golf, like for example, planning that golf event, I'm the golf director or whatever you want to call me.
That's what it said on the hole-in-one.
So literally these last couple weeks, I've been focused. Like you guys see
On
my
that.
emails, you guys see my communication. We've been meeting at least once a week in the last month. My golf director has been on, obviously, coaching and everything else too. But since that event is coming up, I mean, I have to make sure that
it became a priority.
every day I'm doing something about that, right? So understanding what your week entails and organize your week based on that. You know, if you have to be a coach, what do you have to do to coach? If you know you have to be a team leader for your team, you know, you have to essentially coach your team. What do you have to prepare to make sure that you're providing value to your team, right? So each time that you're preparing for something, make sure to put your best foot forward, and the way you do that is by preparing, right? Because if you just come in and not prepare, you wing it, which we're doing right now. We had a little bit of a layout, right? But if you're just winging it, it's
going to end in disaster if you wing it.
I think that's where you create confidence too with anything. If you're not prepared and you don't know what to say in a listing presentation or buying consultation, it shows.
Dude, there was one time in college that I was completely furious with it was a group or a partner project. I did all this research on the topic. It was just like a 1 minute commercial, but like you have to look at all these, like, what do they do with this and position with that? So like I took an entire week breaking down a 1 minute clip of a commercial, studied everything. I had my speech all printed out like perfect. And the guy shows up hungover and he's like, dude, you did all the work on it? I was like, yeah, I did all the work on it. He's like, cool. Like, what, like, can I do some of your, like, borrow some of your work? And I'm like, bro, what? So like he ended up doing like every single talking point that I had picked out, he was doing. And I'm like, what is going on?
Took the credit and everything.
He didn't take, and I was like, I went up to the professor afterwards. I'm like, yo, look, this is what happened. And this is why I was so shaken, is because I did all of the work for my section of it. And he's like, dude, I didn't get it done. I'm hungover, blah. And I'm like, so what did I do? I sacrificed like what for him so that way we both can look good. And it's just like, that's one of the things. I still hold on to that grudge to this day. And I'm not like a very like person that holds on to a grudge, but when it comes to like speaking in front of somebody, like, and I'm not like fully prepared for that, and like I look like an idiot now, nah, dude, I'm gonna hold a grudge for that one. So that one still bugs me to this day. And that happened like 10 years ago.
So preparation, and then just confidence comes with preparation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? I think if people say, oh, like I don't feel comfortable doing something, it's because you're not prepared. Right?
Yeah, and there's a saying that a UFC fighter says, his name is Daniel Cormier, or DC. He goes, you got to embrace the suck.
Actually, he coaches for Gilroy High.
He does.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he does.
Literally, when I was leaving, it was a big talk of the town.
Yeah, he does. So side note, yeah.
You got to embrace the suck.
You have to embrace the suck or embrace the grind. Like, if you don't embrace it, then you're not going to thrive. Yeah. You got to put yourself in situations where it might feel uncomfortable, but once you get into the uncomfortable and embrace the uncomfortableness,
that's where
that's where the growth comes a lot.
Get comfortable
with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, get comfortable.
He says all the time.
Get comfortable
with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the growth, like you said, that's where the growth happens.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. And my dad took me to everything that he was at, every family function. And it's like, I don't want to hang out with like these like people that are like complete strangers. He's like, no, you got to come. Yeah. So, but I mean, that it shaped me to who I am today. So like when somebody comes up to me, hey, you know, what are rates at? Oh, you know, rates are at this. Like, you're always prepared now. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I'm always prepared now when it comes to speaking like that. When it's something new, yeah, I'm going to be a little bit nervous, but am I going to express or show that? Nah, because I've been there before. So.
Yeah. What else do we want?
Synergize.
Synergy.
Work together.
Yeah, synergize. Let me
merge, you know, there's like different parts, different strengths, different relationships, different talents.
Yeah, so synergize. Collaborate with others to create better outcomes than what could be achieved individually. Leverage different strengths, backgrounds, and viewpoints to achieve creative solutions that maximize potential.
I always looked at it as this, like, we're a team, and like, you know,
Okay.
we really gotta like click together to roll out the wheel.
So you say that, and one of the things that happens.
And by click, I don't mean like click as in friends, but like
no.
work together.
No. I know what you mean. So when it comes to like football, what do you see the quarterback always do? I want to huddle up.
Yeah.
We need to collaborate together. So like everybody's got their position, from the O-line to the wide receivers to the running backs and the quarterback. And this is like, hey, let's get all on the same page, collaborate. And it's just a collaboration as a team effort. So
Yeah.
I don't know. When you did that, it just like boom,
just
clicked.
like-
It just clicked for me. Like it's kind of an example of like we need to come together. We all have different ideas when it comes to it. Like lineman has their job of blocking to make holes for any type of run or protecting the quarterback. The receivers are out there to run their routes and get into an open position, and the running backs could also be potentially blocking for a blitz or anything like that. So it's like you have all these layers that go on in the sport, and then it also into the real world as well. So like you have what was, let's just use last year or even this year, you were the chair of the YPN. You set a goal to each individual person for the YPN. So, and it's just like, hey, well, we think this can happen. You're like, all right, we'll send it. Like the whole podcast thing, it was like, hey, what do you think of this? Do it.
He said,
Yeah.
run with it.
Run with it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And it's turned into what it is now. We're on episode 23. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And we're going to have some good guests coming up. You know?
Yes, we have
Segue.
Greg from
Stonefield. Yes.
coming up soon.
Oh, wow.
We're in
Yeah.
confirmation. We're going to have the Chancellor from the UC Merced.
There you
also
go.
working on the date. Working on the guy that's going to be here from the college on Tuesday, too.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
And then
Yeah.
we have also Carol Mahoney. That's the next one that's already
Yeah.
on the books.
No, next week. What are we doing next week? We have one next week during.
We have,
no. I'm sorry, not next week, but during Ledge
We have
Week.
the Wake Up collab with the State YPN.
Out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
we're gonna bring all the equipment.
We'll do like a coffee.
There we
or
go.
on the
we'll probably
lobby
have
on-
Wake
on-
up YPN.
Wake Up
Just like-
YPN and then do it on the podcast.
Yeah, so that's gonna
There
be
we
pretty
go.
cool. Segue.
Segue. So a little
Little swerve right
inside,
there.
yeah.
Mike. But let me see here. One of the sections, and I think it's still habit 3. They talk about emotional deposits. I don't know if you
Ooh, that's a
to
lot.
build-
The bank
to-
deposit.
Yes, to build relationships. So, again, I like to when you read something or you hear something that resonates, you always want to apply it somehow,
Yeah.
right? So with real estate, this actually goes hand in hand, and it connects really, really well, where you have to definitely understand who you're going to be doing business with, or just build relationships in general with either your clients, your business partners, right? To make sure that you earn that trust.
Yeah.
They like you, they earn that trust. And I always say people do business with people they like, trust, right? And so by doing this, always carrying what they have going on, whether it's
Yeah.
personal, business,
Absolutely.
and asking those questions, right?
Yeah. So right now I have a client. He's expecting his he knows what he's having. His daughter is coming in. So
Aw.
coming soon. So that's like one of the things like, hey, you know, what are your hobbies?
Yeah.
What are, like, you're just asking questions, like getting to know the person to build that rapport with them. And he's also a gamer, so it was kind of cool. And it's like, oh yeah, sweet. Like, what games do you play? He's like, oh, I just started playing Marvel's Rivals. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I've heard of it, never played it, but it looks like a fun game. You know, I was like, hey, maybe one of these nights we can play. He's like, yeah, the availability for me to play those, because he works graveyards, so it's kind of hard to, like, you know, play with somebody that works at night and you primarily play at night. So that part kind of sucks, because I was actually looking forward to, like, you know, gaming with him. And it's just like building that relationship outside of just like, hey, this is just a transaction.
This also goes exactly to what you always say, right? Like, treat everybody with respect. Because you never
Absolutely.
know who you're going to need help or a favor or a transaction from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the unwritten rule. Right?
It's the golden
You have
rule.
to, yeah.
Yeah, and I was always taught, treat the CEO the same way you would treat the
You always
janitor.
say that, yes.
I say that all the time, and I'm like, and everybody's like, well, why can you talk to so many different types of people? It's like, well, it's because I was always taught, treat the way that you would want to be treated, no matter if they're the janitor or the CEO of a company, because that janitor might become something one day.
Yeah.
And if you don't respect them at what they're doing now because that's what they have to do, then you're never going to respect anybody.
I've had people save my butt over just me being kind to them. And, you know, like they'll do a favor for you and you don't expect it. And they're like, you were really kind to me.
Yeah.
While we closed our deal. And so, like, we're here for you. That just happened like 2 weeks ago. And I literally both stopped crying because I didn't do anything different other than just being myself, right, doing my job and treat everybody with respect. Just I know, like, you were very kind to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was
I need to text one of my clients. I haven't talked to him in a while. Nah.
You gotta
and make a deposit.
to build these relationships. You have to know what's important to the person, right? So I know for you, your kids are super important, especially for you, right? And understanding that, and that's how you build relationships. Is not only get to know them on a business level, but also like outside of work. And
absolutely.
What do you guys like? You know, what you like outside of work, whether it's traveling, going outdoors, taking a hike.
Yeah, that's one of the things I asked Eric. I was like, hey, what countries do you want to like go to? Like that, we want to get back to traveling. I mean, it's been a little rough just to try and get traveling in order and stuff, but that's like one of the things. It's like, hey, once everything starts taking off again, it's like, this is something that we're going to.
So for getting to know someone at a deeper level, keeping promises and do what you say you're going to do.
Doing what you say you're going to do is so much more important than what you say over and over and over.
Right,
and over.
Correct. That reminds me of, what's that movie? Jingle All the Way. It's one of my favorite movies. So with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he kept making a promise to his son, and he kept breaking the promise.
Oh, yeah.
The Turbo Man.
Yeah, Turbo Man.
Turbo Man. So
Action
it's
figure.
like, so it's like, I watched that as a kid. I was like, oh, man, the dad messed up every time. And now that I'm adult, and I'm like,
so I
got to make sure that I don't do that.
On a side note, I actually showed that to Gio. They cuss a lot in that movie. all these 90s movies, because I showed The Sandlot for one of my client appreciation. And they cuss a lot. Like this one, even like Rookie of the Year, all those like 90s movies.
He looks like a dead fish. Yeah, he looks kind of dead.
And then also when the dogs come, he says, "Oh,
I think the ratings.
Gigi repeated it. Like, everyone heard her.
So we bring up cuss again. So there's one of my favorite bands just came out with the new album. And the song title is called All My Friends. And in the very beginning, it's like, oh, shit, here we go again. And I'm like, and then it was funny. So, this morning, he's like, here we go again? Here we go again? Yeah. Like Daxton, he's like, I was like, all right, I'll play it. And he's like, tit, here we go again. It's like, what?
That's hilarious.
But he loves the song, so it's just like, well, sorry, Dad, you're gonna have to listen to my son cuss a little bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize how much cussing was in like 90s movie until like you mentioned that. So
yeah.
Also, I think what builds another thing that builds relationships is, own up to things that when you made a mistake.
Take ownership.
Take ownership, apologize, and be like, you know what? That was my error, my mistake.
You know what?
I think that goes a longer way than just trying to hide it or brush it out.
You will always respect a lot more, at least I will, and I know you too.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Somebody that says, I messed up, I won't do this again, then somebody that says, I didn't do that. And all the evidence
that drives me
there.
nuts. Like, when it's like, you catch them red-handed, like... And this goes back like when we were talking earlier at lunch, like about like students and stuff. Like
kids do that all the time.
Oh my God, I caught a kid in a lie because he was just like doing this, and I'm like, dude, I know you're lying to me. He's like, well, how do you know that I'm lying? I was like, your body reaction tells a lot. It tells a lot. Yeah. So he's like, that was the one that shoved the hole puncher towards me. So it's like, and then I'm thinking, how could I have how could I have handled that differently to where I didn't get that result from him?
Yeah.
So like immediately, and I think we were reading the book, and it was like I was actually on that chapter of like, what could I have done differently? So when the next student came up that wasn't doing their work, and it's just like, hey, what's going on? And I actually I learned from that mistake, and it's like, and I can admit I always admit my faults because I know I'm not perfect. And it's just like, dude, look, this is something I messed up on. It slipped my mind. But like when we have a client, like anytime we have a client together and it's like, hey, did you check on this? It's like, oh, shoot, my bad. I didn't check on it. I'll get on that and make it that priority right then and there to make sure that like, okay, yeah. And that's like, Well, I mean, we all have like files, like you all have clients. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, you know, it's just a friendly reminder. It's nothing.
Yeah, it happens. It's just, you know, just take ownership. That's
Yeah.
it. I think
That's it.
I respect it.
Turn the
And, you know,
page.
we're human. We make
Yeah,
errors
absolutely.
and we, you know, drop the ball at times, and we just got to own up to it.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think that's you're more respected when you admit those mistakes than if you're like, oh no, well that's not how it happened. It's just like kind of have to take ownership of any situation, even if it's not your fault. Sometimes it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
On this, think win-win, and I don't know how we're doing on time. A little
We're
bit
about
more.
an hour.
Oh, we're about an hour. I'm good.
A little bit more.
Yeah, we can go a little bit more.
So I think one of the ones in the win-win section, habit 4, which there's a few things on there that were pretty good. I wrote down cooperative versus competitive, meaning there's plenty for everybody.
Yeah,
There's
Is.
an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset.
Scarcity mindset is, I'm not going to teach and develop because I'm scared that you're going to take my position, versus abundant mindset is, if you grow, I grow because I can move up and you can take over, or you can go somewhere else and continue to grow and spread what
Yeah.
I taught you.
Not only that, it's just here, especially with YPN, you know, we're a bunch of realtors together. Technically, we're competitors, right?
but
There's enough for everybody.
But there's always the people that are going to do business with me most likely will not do business with you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's just like I feel like you're going to attract certain clientele, and you just have to be with the mindset or paradigm that we talk about here in this book, that there is enough for everybody. And that's with business, that's with entrepreneurs. If you have that mindset, things will start falling
will
on your lap.
come,
yeah, and I think the like, well, when it comes to like sports, the competition is different. Like, it's a different mindset when it comes to sports compared to when it comes to business. When we're competing for the business, it all makes us grow to be better at our craft. And like, what did they do that I didn't do? What can make it better for me without like, hey, you know, you shouldn't go, like, you shouldn't go to that lender, or you shouldn't go to that realtor. This is no, it's like, what did they do different that I can improve on to make myself better?
You know, I had somebody this week, the lender dropped the ball completely on the day of closing.
Should have sent them to me.
We don't have a loan, right? I was completely upset. But, at the end of the day, he says, I messed up. I don't have a loan.
That's good.
3 weeks later, he's like, I'm happy to forward, as long as the buyer gives me the okay, I'm happy to forward all the documents, the credit report and everything to the new lender and help in any way possible.
That's good.
Of course, because you screw up, right? But he could have easily said, I didn't do anything, or wash his hands and let us.
Yeah, that's good.
Blank, and the minimum he could do was, which he did, was like.
That's awesome on
help.
his part. Yeah, that's awesome on his part that he did that. So
that's pretty scary though. But yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, I had a situation where when you have an offer on a house, and if it's FHA, you have to reach out to that lender who did the original FHA appraisal and request it. So sometimes that can get a little dicey, and some lenders will be jerks about it. And it's like, well, look, man, like,
help us out, right?
Help us out, like and it can be a completely different client. So like client A does an appraisal, well, they end up not going through with it, and client
but it's
B,
the same appraisal for the house, yeah.
because it's an FHA appraisal. If it's a
Yeah.
conventional, then it doesn't matter. We could just do another appraisal. If I'm not mistaken, I could
Yeah.
be wrong on that.
I'm not a lender, but that's what
Yeah.
I was explained 2 days ago.
Yeah, and it's like, well, it's an FHA. We need to go request it from the original lender that did the appraisal, and it's like, sometimes that can get a little dicey, but in the situation for myself, it wasn't that bad. It was like, hey, look, submit the payment. They wanted the payment from the client. It's like, I don't know how it was. Like, I can't remember how it went, but like the client was trying to pay for it, but they wanted the lender to pay for it. We're like, well, wait a minute. So that was the only like dispute that we had. It's like, who's paying for it?
Paying for it?
Yeah, and it's like, well, wait a minute. The client always pays for it, so
Yeah. The last habit, sharpen the saw. I thought that would be your favorite. So it talks about mind, body, and spirit.
Mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mind, body, and spirit. It's like the three components of it.
You physically, mentally, and spiritually,
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
to be balanced in order.
Why did you say that?
Because you
running.
always talk about mind, body, and spirit. Like that's when I think of that, I think of Hector. Mind, body, and spirit. That's Hector.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
you think of exercise, I think of Hector.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't always like this, obviously, but I found that by doing that, I put my best foot forward, whether it's relationship wise, being a parent, a husband, business owner. I'm more positive too. even though sometimes in the back I'm like, oh, like I should be doing certain things, but for the most part, I'm pretty positive, and even if something's not going my way, I try to spin it back to pivot and make sure that everything's. There's another book that I read. It's called Everything's Figure Outable.
You did tell me about that one, yes.
I forgot who wrote it, but I can look it up. But essentially, there's almost nothing you can't just figure out and complete.
Yeah.
I always said that, and I told this to one of my buddies, and he calls me out on it. It's like, bro, everything's figure outable. Remember you told me that? I'm like, yeah, I did tell you that. Just like the lesson where your kids started telling you is like, I share these things with friends, and then friends will start telling me this thing. So, yeah, man, your mind is the strongest.
Yeah, and you know what? And this
like.
is what's awesome about like tech right now. And I always like to go back to like, my dad told me this joke. And I was like, oh yeah, I learned it on YouTube University. And it's like, Dad, like, what do you mean you learned it on? He's like, yeah, I Googled it and it popped up.
It takes you to YouTube.
And it takes you to YouTube, and it's like it gives you like a step by step like process. So like when I was like, okay, well I want to do this is what I want to do. Okay, well what steps do I need to do? All right, let's go into YouTube. Yeah. Let's figure it out. Like, let's be resourceful. Say you only have $200 to start a stream. You can make a stream out of $200. Like, you need a computer, you need a webcam, or you can use your phone. Like, for the longest time, I was using my phone. And what else? Oh, the gaming console. As long as you have the gaming console already, you can actually start doing it yourself.
Yeah. So we talk about mind, health, body and spirit. Mm-hmm. Obviously, making sure that you're always training your mind by putting positivity, learning new things. Your health is eating right, exercising as much as you can.
Yeah.
And then spirit is just, I think we always make appointments to meet with people with doing a podcast or coming to the MLS meeting, but a lot of times we fail to do appointments with ourselves. Just like literally just to hang out by yourself, and whether it's meditate, go for me it's that run. I'm by myself. I'm just kind of focused on my own mind. For you, I know you like to go on walks or hikes.
That's my
do you still have your dog, by the way?
I do. So fun story, right?
Oh yeah. I'm like with your dog, but I'm like, I don't know if she has her dog still.
I do. We found her home, and she goes to this house. Within 2 days, she didn't like it, and the lady calls me. She's like, she keeps looking for you. She's crying. We like her because they had a lab too, and it died for their son, so they wanted another lab for their son. And my son loves her, but like she's so attached to you. Even the day I dropped her off, every time I walked to the car to bring her stuff, like she was just right next to me. So long story short, I picked her up. She's with me. She ain't going anywhere. She's staying with me.
Okay.
Yeah, she ain't going anywhere. And so I did that Saturday and Sunday. This past Saturday and Sunday, I didn't have the kids, and I didn't have a lot of showings or anything. And so I did my showing Saturday morning, and I put her in the car, and we went to Yosemite, and we were there Saturday and Sunday, and just walked and hiked. My phone didn't have service, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Beautiful. So when we went to Mexico, that was the best time because this thing didn't work. I mean, it did. Like if I had Wi-Fi and I had it on me, but it was such a beauty not having this cell phone.
Yeah.
And it took me back to a time when I didn't have a cell phone. And it was very
How long
peaceful.
ago was that?
20 years ago?
Yeah.
I think freshman year in high school is when I got my first cell phone.
Yeah.
Running, exercising, the gym, walking, hiking, all that's important. Like you have to physically move your body.
Yeah, and there's the thing about like we're all into social media just from the business side of it. And like yesterday I had this thing. I was like, man, I don't want anything to do with social media. But I know
deleted my IG.
You did
last week. Yeah, I took a break.
Yeah, nice.
Did you?
Yeah, my personal account. And then, I also deleted, but I deleted the whole app from my. I don't have no social media on my phone. So last night when I was getting logos, I told my son, "Hey Leo, can you go on Instagram and screenshot this and this?" Because I was your phone. I said right here, but I deleted my social media, and I'm really fighting the urge to bring it back. Right? I'm trying to go at least 2 weeks. So.
Was it affecting you?
It takes a lot of my time.
You know what? I understand where you're talking about.
You know, I'm behind a screen for 8 hours, and then on top of that, I add the phone, and my head was hurting a lot. And I noticed It's my eyes are burning from the screen, so that's a
Yeah.
little different. But my head hurts. It still hurts, but it hurts a lot less without it. So as my buddy is suggesting, I said, I really don't need social media. I mean, I did it
blue
a little bit
filter
for marketing, but
You'll need to get blue filter lenses.
okay, I'm gonna do
Yeah,
that.
they have
And
non-prescription
so
ones too.
I decided to just delete it and take a break. I've done this before. I think the longest I've gone, the last time I did it, like 2 years ago, I went for 3 months
Oh wow.
without social media at all, and I did a lot more. Like I accomplished a lot more transactions and just work done. So right now with homework, school, graduation, and everything, it's like I don't need this right now. I'll come back next month because I'm in charge of YPN social media. I'm made for the state level, so I'm gonna have to bring it back.
Yeah.
But from here till then,
Okay.
yeah.
No, that's good
Sounds
because
good.
I think about it's like it. And I was listening to a podcast. Social media isn't real. It was talking about like how social media is not real. It makes people think like all this fantasy like happens to everybody when in reality it doesn't.
Yeah.
So it makes me think like, what can I utilize my time more than social media? It's like, well, I can go outside. I went on a walk for the first time like in a very long time with Erica and the boys, and the boys were super excited. And it's like, I think we need to do this more often. I'm actually going to text Erica. I was like, hey, we're going to go on another walk today.
It could be
Depending on the
used
weather.
for a lot of good stuff. So like marketing, lead generation,
100%,
stuff. And you can
yeah.
learn. You can put your algorithm will feed you positive stuff or like things to learn and things like that. And I do have it that way. But at least for me, sometimes it's good to take a break from the screen.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
because you could be a consumer or a creator.
There you go.
Yeah. And
So-
right now I'm a
In
consumer
a
of
few
it.
words. In a very few
That's it.
words.
Like, are you really a consumer or
Or
are
are
you?
you-
Yeah, so
creator.
I think I want to get to the point where it's just creating and that's it, but nothing like where I'm consuming it like, oh, look at this. Like I got into a really bad habit, and I was kind of looking at like how many reels I've actually sent you. It's like, okay, I need to stop. Like that's a lot.
Yeah,
I do send a lot of reels, but it's like, all right, I need to
they're
stop.
fun. They're good. I mean, once in a while, I'm like, when I catch up on some of these reels. Sometimes it's like a few of them, like, oh damn.
I was like, and I didn't realize how much I sent until I was like, hey, wait a minute, he hasn't responded in a while, or like laughed at any of them. I was like,
Sometimes I'm like doing other stuff. You guys can come over and help me with the yard if you want,
do that.
because I get busy. But no, this book was also a good
That's
reminder. When we read something, you put it down, but maybe in a year and a half, you read it again. But
yeah,
just like with other books that I do, I just kind of rotate them.
We'll
Yeah.
do this again. And read
yeah, this book,
another
honestly, this book was really good and eye-opening because, like, especially like at the end of it, like when it was talking about like exercise, and it's like it's kind of funny. Like I read it this morning and last night, like we went on a walk. It's like, is it really going to be that much of an inconvenience to take 30 minutes to an hour out of your day to just work on your body itself and like take care of your body? And it's like, funny how I just went on a walk yesterday, and it's like I was coming to the realization. I was like, man, I need to really like watch what I eat, and I need to get back into the gym more. Like I think like we've had a conversation off the podcast about like using injuries as an excuse. Like what else can you work on other than your shoulder? And it's like, well, like, and I was like I was getting into the loop. I was like, well, making excuses and stuff, and it's like no, now it's like it's getting back into that mindset of like, no, I need to do this.
Change your paradigm.
Yeah, change the paradigm. So, and it's like it's kind of like there's purposes in everything, like. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Lord, and it's like God puts you in positions that you need to overcome. It's a test, is what it is. So, and it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, I know I need to lose weight, but why do I need to lose weight? Like, it's like trying to tap into what's your why? And my why is my two boys and my wife. It's like, you got to be there for them. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of them.
Yeah, a lot of times people are like, oh, well, going into the health thing, it's like if you're not doing it for yourself, do it for the people you love, because at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones that are going to be taking care of you. You're putting them in a burden, not you.
Not you.
Yeah. So taking care of your body, it like you only get one back.
Yeah.
You only get 2 arms. You only get 2 feet. You got to make the best of everything. You got to keep it well-oiled machine is essentially what.
Yeah.
This was awesome.
Yeah, this is a really good
I
one.
know we were like jumping all over, but I think we got a lot of good points across that relates to business, personal, and everything.
Yeah, so
and
I'll leave off with this. These are the 7 habits, and I'm just going to run through the 7 habits. Be proactive. Begin with the end in mind. Put first things first. Think win-win. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. synergize, and then sharpen the saw.
There you go. I think
Good book. Go read it.
Yes, it's a very good book, and the sharpen the saw. Just one last part about sharpening the saw. Like the very beginning of that chapter was like, "Hey, you know, it's taking you forever to saw that one tree.
Yeah.
Why don't you sharpen the saw to make it more efficient?" No, I need to get it done. I'm on a time frame. It's like, take the time to collect your thoughts and execute.
He says sometimes you got to take a step back to take 2 steps
That
forward.
is true. And I know I'm trying not to make this podcast go on any further, but there are times where I take a second to breathe and then I go and execute.
Yeah.
So there was a kid. He's no longer a kid now, but like he was a kid when I talked to him. He was a pro wake surfer, and he always got into his head. And then like one day I was like, "Hey, did you breathe?" He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, I breathe." I was like, "No, did you pause? Take a deep breath in and then just exhale, and now reset and refocus."
Yeah.
He ended up winning worlds that day. When I told him, I was like, "You need to pump the brakes, stop, take a deep breath in, exhale, and then get back into it.
Yeah.
Get that mindset straight, and then you can get into it." And he won worlds. So he said he came back up to me. He's like, "Dude, I've never thought of doing that ever."
Yeah.
And then like a year later, he texted me out of the blue, and he's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know I took worlds again. Like, I went back to your text that you sent me a year ago and read it and put myself in that mindset to like breathe and get back into it."
Cool.
So sometimes you just need to stop, breathe, and readjust. Like, and then every day, like the boys are like, going at each other's face, and I'll just let them yell. I'll go step away, take a breather, get back into it. I was like, "Hey, listen, we got to get everything, like, we need to calm down." And it's just like, Eric's like, "Why did you leave for like 2 seconds?" I was like, "No, I needed to get my head right before I like snapped." And like, and then it would have been bad.
Yeah, sometimes you need to do that.
Yeah, so taking one step back to take 2 steps forwards, that's a good saying to have in your corner.
Sure.
Anyway,
Good stuff. Yeah.
any last thoughts from you guys?
No, go read the book. It's a great book.
It is a really great
We're
book.
going to read another book and then come back in a couple
Yeah,
months.
if you have suggestions, let us know.
Yeah, leave them in the comments.
Message us and we'll read it. If you want to be part of it, let us know.
Yeah, leave them in the comments on what books we should read next. So this was a really good one. I enjoyed it a lot, and it just puts you in a different mindset and a different mindset and way of thinking as well. So
Cool, awesome, man. Good job, guys.
All right, yeah. Well,
Bye.
good one.